If this is happening to you, God is preparing you. What if everything that is falling apart in your life is not the end, but the beginning of something you can't yet see? That's a question most people never ask themselves, because when pain arrives, the first reaction is to panic and question everything. But here's a truth that goes against everything common sense teaches. God does not prepare people in comfort zones. If you are in a moment where doors are closing and plans are falling apart, you are not being destroyed, you are being prepared. And what is being built inside you right now is greater than anything you have lost up to this point. Most people who truly live a life with God have gone through a phase that made absolutely no sense, a phase of silence and waiting. And it was precisely in that phase, not before, not after, that God's purpose began to take shape in their stories. The truth the gospel has carried for centuries is this: the process hurts, but it is not random. Every detail has a reason. Every loss has a purpose. Every moment of darkness is part of a preparation for a level you cannot yet imagine reaching. Stay until the end, and you will understand why this is the greatest sign that Jesus Christ is working in your life right now. So before you conclude that you are lost, or that God has forgotten about you, breathe. This will change how you see everything. Spiritual warfare is real. The process is real. And the transformation happening inside you is also real. You were chosen by God. Diamonds are not formed in comfortable environments. They are formed under extreme pressure. If you feel that pressure, you have immense value. Stay, because God is speaking, and what He has to say will transform your story. Doors are closing. There are moments in life when a person does everything right, prays, puts in the effort, keeps trying, and yet the door simply does not open. And then comes that strange, almost suffocating feeling that something is wrong. Relationships that seemed solid begin to crack. Opportunities that seemed certain slip through the fingers. Plans that were on paper simply cease to exist. It is in these moments that many begin to question God's word. They question the Christian faith and even their own walk with Jesus Christ. But not every closed door is a loss. Grasping this changes everything. When God is at the center of your life, every closing has a reason, even if it is not yet visible. What looks like rejection is, more often than not, redirection. What looks like abandonment is, most of the time, protection. Think about it. How many times in life has a person looked back and said, "Thank goodness that didn't work out"? God's purpose rarely reveals itself in the moment of pain. It reveals itself afterward, when the person is looking back with different eyes. In the gospel, there is a clear pattern. Before every great delivery, there is a great withdrawal. Before David became king, it was hunted. Before Joseph governed Egypt, he was sold by his own brothers. Before Peter became the cornerstone of the church, he denied Jesus Christ 3 times. None of those closings were accidental. All were part of a greater plan, orchestrated by the one who sees beyond what human eyes can see. The question is not whether the door closed, but what is being built on the other side while it remains closed. Many times, what a person cries hardest over not having obtained was exactly what would have prevented them from reaching their destiny. A relationship that ended may have been the protection that prevented a far greater pain. A job that did not come may have opened space for a divine calling that was waiting to be discovered. A dream that did not come true as expected may be being rewritten in a far greater way. Life with God teaches this. What seems like an ending is frequently a beginning. When a person begins to see closed doors, not as failure, but as a filter, something shifts profoundly within them. They stop chasing what is not theirs and begin to trust that what is meant for them will come. You are being tested. There is a truth that Christianity has carried for centuries, but that many people have still not truly absorbed. Difficulty is not a sign of abandonment. It is a sign of process. When everything begins to press in at the same time, when the pressure seems to come from every direction without relief, the natural human reaction is to think that something is wrong, that God is distant, or worse, that He is not listening. But spiritual warfare teaches exactly the opposite. The hardest moments are the moments when God is working with the greatest intensity. It is like gold, it only purifies when it passes through fire. No precious metal is formed in comfort, and no person of faith grows stronger without being tested. This is a principle that crosses generations, cultures, and stories. The test is not punishment, it is a question. And God is asking, do you still trust me when you don't understand what is happening? Because true faith was never about believing when everything is going well. and life is peaceful. Anyone can trust on a sunny day. What sets apart those who were chosen by God is the capacity to remain firm in the middle of a storm, without seeing the horizon. Hope in God is not naivety. It is the conscious decision to believe that the one who created everything knows exactly what he is doing. And that decision, made in the hardest moments, is what transforms an ordinary person into a person of purpose. In practice, this means learning to change the question you ask yourself in moments of crisis. Instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" the transforming question is, "What is this moment trying to develop in me?" Patience develops through waiting. Courage develops through facing challenges. Faith develops when there are no visible guarantees. Spiritual growth never happens in the easy parts of a story. It happens precisely in the parts a person most wishes they could skip. At the end of each difficult day, write on a blank page, "What did I learn today that I would not have known if this day had been easy?" This small habit has the power to change the way you see difficulty, transforming every test into a teacher, and every trial into a stepping stone. Something is happening inside a person who is going through a genuine process with God, and they are not always able to name what it is. Suddenly, things that used to make sense no longer do. Environments that used to feel comfortable start to feel small. Conversations that used to entertain now feel empty. And then comes that strange sensation of no longer fitting in where they once fit perfectly. Many people interpret this as loneliness, as a crisis, as something going wrong. But the truth is that this discomfort has a name: transformation. God's word is clear when it says we should not conform to this age, but be transformed by the renewing of the mind. And renewal is never a silent process. It shakes things up, it displaces, it unsettles before it liberates. What a person is living through is not a loss of identity, it is the construction of a greater identity. Think of a butterfly. Inside the cocoon, it is not resting, it is completely dissolving in order to rebuild itself into a new form. The process is dark, tight, and lonely. But without it, it never flies. Life with God works in exactly the same way. Before delivering the new, he must deconstruct the old. And the old might be a limiting mindset, a behavioral pattern, or a circle of relationships that cannot support the coming level. The divine calling always requires a different version of the person, and that version does not appear from nowhere. It is sculpted, sometimes with patience, sometimes with pressure, but always with purpose. Everything that left, every person who pulled away, was necessary so that the new could have space to exist. Practical point: the person needs to stop trying to fit in where they no longer fit. Resisting transformation costs far more than trusting. Make an honest evaluation. Are your habits feeding who you are becoming, or holding you back to who you were? Resources like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari speak extensively about this mindset transition. Combined with daily Bible reading and spiritual growth, they form a solid foundation for anyone going through real transformation. God is speaking through every detail, and whoever learns to listen comes out the other side, unrecognizable, in the best possible way. The timing of God makes nitrogen monoxide sense. This is perhaps the hardest part of the entire process, and also the most misunderstood. A person looks around and sees other people advancing, achieving, accomplishing, and then looks at their own life, and feels that uncomfortable sting of falling behind, of time passing too fast, of plans taking too long to get off the ground. This feeling has a familiar name: delay, and it is one of the most dangerous traps of the spiritual journey. Because when a person begins to believe they are behind, they start making decisions driven by urgency, and decisions made in haste are rarely aligned with God's purpose. God's word is clear throughout its entirety. God's timing does not follow the human calendar. He does not use a clock. He uses purpose. Think of the story of Abraham, a man who received a promise from God and waited decades to see it fulfilled. Or the story of Joseph, who went from the pit to the palace, but not in a straight line. He went by a path that, seen from the outside, seemed completely wrong. Or Jesus Christ himself, who only began his public ministry at the age of 30, in an era when the average lifespan was much shorter. None of these examples followed the timeline that human logic would have expected, and all of them resulted in stories that to this day transform lives, feed the Christian faith, and are studied around the world. The divine calling never arrives before its time, and when it does arrive, it brings with it everything that was prepared during the waiting period. What seems like delay, seen from above, is alignment. And here is the point that changes everything. While a person thinks they are merely waiting, God is working. He is aligning people who have not yet met. He is preparing circumstances that do not yet exist. He is removing invisible obstacles that the person does not even know were in the way. Hope in God during the waiting period is not passivity, it is active trust. In practice, this period is the ideal time to invest in yourself intensely. Learn a new skill, deepen biblical knowledge, strengthen healthy relationships, take care of physical and mental health. Because when the right door finally opens, and it will open, the person who knew how to use the waiting period will walk in prepared, not just relieved. God is speaking through every day that seems still. I have not forgotten you. I am preparing you. The time has come to put all the pieces together. Closed doors, tests, transformation, waiting. Each of these looks like a series of disconnected problems, but seen from above, through the eyes of the Christian faith, they reveal a pattern that is impossible to ignore. God does not allow anything to happen in the life of those who follow Him without it having a greater purpose. Every difficulty was a lesson. Every wait was a preparation. Every loss was a protection. And everything, absolutely everything, was part of a plan that is greater than the human mind can calculate. God's word says that His thoughts are higher than ours, and His ways are higher than ours. That is not poetry, it is a literal description. He operates in the life of those who are chosen by God to carry a real purpose on this earth. If life is hard, if the process is heavy, if the pressure is intense, that is not a sign that God has abandoned you. It is a sign that He is taking you to a level you are not yet ready to occupy, and He loves you too much. Think of a father who does not hand the car keys to an 8-year-old, not because he doesn't trust them, but because they are not ready. God's purpose works in the same way. He shapes, strengthens, removes, rebuilds, all before delivering what the person so desperately asks for. And when the delivery happens, it happens in a way the person can sustain, because they were prepared for it. The gospel is full of people who went through intense processes before living the fullness of their divine calling. God's message to you is this: what is coming is greater than what was left behind. What is being built is more solid. The spiritual growth that is happening right now is not yet visible, but it is real, deep, and taking you where you need to be. Closed doors tests, transformation, waiting. None of it is an accident. None of it is punishment. All of it is preparation. The fact that you made it to the end already says a great deal about who you are becoming. God's word is clear. What He began in you, He will complete. This is not the end of your story. Knowledge without application is merely entertainment. You did not come this far to be entertained. You came this far to be transformed. Will you keep seeing closed doors as failure or as protection? Will you use the waiting period to prepare for what is coming? Hope in God is a decision made every day. If this message spoke to you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Comment below. God is preparing me. Subscribe to this channel and turn on the bell. There is much more to come.